You know that scene from Star Wars?
Yeah.
Where the Death Star's tractor beam, like, locks onto the Millennium Falcon?
Oh, yeah, classic.
It's like pure science fiction, right?
Right.
But get this.
Yeah.
Researchers at MIT have created a real-life tractor beam
No, hold
that
on.
can actually capture and move cells.
The real tractor beam.
And, like, we're not talking about some far-off future tech. This is actual research. It was even published in Nature Communications.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
So today, we're going to dive deep into how this technology works, what it can do, and why it's such a big deal, especially for biologists.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so first,
Yeah.
I need a little science refresher.
Okay.
So just remind me,
Yeah.
how do scientists normally manipulate, like, super tiny things like cells?
Well, they often use these tools called optical tweezers.
Right, optical tweezers.
Yeah, they use highly focused laser beams to trap and move those microscopic objects.
They kind of act like invisible, super precise fingers.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
I remember reading about those. But aren't they pretty bulky and expensive?
Yeah,
Not exactly something you'd find in your average biology lab.
that's true. The traditional ones, yeah, they require specialized labs and equipment. But the MIT team has actually miniaturized this technology.
Miniaturized it.
Yeah, they put it onto a chip, like a chip that can fit in the palm of your hand.
So they've shrunk down those powerful lasers onto a tiny chip.
Exactly.
That's really impressive. So what can they do with this miniaturized, like, tractor beam?
Well, with this chip, they can trap and manipulate cells from millimeters away.
Millimeters.
Mhm.
Wait, why is that distance so important?
Well, think about it. With traditional optical tweezers, or even some earlier chip-based versions,
Okay.
to manipulate the cells, they need to be super close to the light source.
All right.
And that can cause contamination or even damage the cells.
Oh, I see. So
But with this new design,
Yeah.
they can manipulate cells that are like safely tucked away under a glass cover slip.
like in a typical biology experiment.
Yes.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is this tiny chip could actually replace bulky lab equipment,
Yeah,
which could make cutting-edge research more accessible and affordable.
exactly.
Yeah, like all that without the risk of contaminating the samples.
Yep.
That's a game changer.
It is.
But how does it actually work? How do they create this tractor beam effect on a chip?
It all comes down to light and a clever arrangement of, like, microscopic antennas.
Microscopic antennas.
The chip uses something called an integrated optical phased array.
Okay.
So imagine a series of, like, teeny tiny antennas on the chip,
Okay, yeah.
and each one is emitting a beam of light.
Okay, I'm picturing those tiny antennas all lined up.
Yeah.
But how do those beams of light actually grab and move the cells?
So by carefully controlling the timing of the light waves that are emitted from each antenna,
Uh-huh.
they can create a highly focused beam of light.
Okay.
And this acts like a tiny superpowered magnet.
Wow.
So trapping and moving the cells without physically touching them. So it's like they're choreographing a dance of light to manipulate these tiny objects.
You got it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, this integrated optical phased array,
Yeah.
it sounds pretty complex.
Yeah, it is.
Did the MIT researchers actually prove that this concept works? Like, did they actually test it out on real cells?
They did. And it's not just a theory, it works. So they started with like tiny polystyrene spheres
Okay.
just to demonstrate the trapping and manipulation capabilities.
Okay.
But then they moved on to using actual cancer cells,
Oh.
which were provided by another research group at MIT.
Oh, wow.
And they were able to successfully capture and move them with incredible precision.
So they've got this chip
Yeah.
that can grab and move cells with, like, pinpoint accuracy,
Yeah.
and it can do it from a safe distance.
Right.
What does this mean for the future of biology and medicine? Like, what kind of real-world impact are we talking about here?
The potential applications are honestly incredibly exciting. Yeah. Scientists could use this technology to like study individual DNA molecules or classify cells based on their physical properties or even investigate how diseases work at a cellular level,
All in a tiny chip.
all on a tiny chip.
So we've got this tiny chip that can, like, move cells around like a microscopic tractor beam.
Yeah,
And it has, like, all this potential to revolutionize biological research.
right.
I'm starting to see why this is such a big deal.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about, like, what were some of the challenges in getting this to work? I mean, merging, like, the world of electronics with these delicate biological systems.
Yeah.
That can't be easy.
You're right. There were some significant hurdles to overcome.
Like what?
Well, one of the biggest was making sure that the silicon chip, which is like great for electronics,
Right.
didn't actually harm the cell.
So it's all about biocompatibility.
Exactly.
They have to come up with like special tricks to make the silicon safe for cells?
Yeah, they had to develop special coatings for the chips
Yep.
to protect the cells.
Interesting.
And another challenge was figuring out how to make cells, which are often transparent, interact with the light beams.
Ah, so that makes sense.
Yeah, they had to use like specific wavelengths of light.
Okay.
And even like develop new ways to label the cells. So they could be easily trapped and manipulated.
So it sounds like they had to get really creative to merge these two fields.
For sure.
But I'm curious.
Yeah.
Using light to, like, manipulate objects.
Right.
That isn't entirely new, is it?
Not really. No.
I vaguely remember reading about something called optical trapping.
You're right. Yeah. The idea of using light to move things has actually been around for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It dates back centuries to Johannes Kepler.
Kepler?
Yeah, the astronomer.
Oh, wow.
He was the one who figured out that the tails of comets always point away from the sun, no matter which way the comet is traveling. And he theorized that it was sunlight that was actually pushing the comet's tail away.
So he basically observed, like, a natural tractor beam effect way back then.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
But how did we go from, like, observing comet tails to developing these sophisticated optical tweezers,
right,
and this new chip-based tractor beam?
Well, it was a gradual process for sure, driven by like scientific curiosity and advancements in technology.
Makes sense.
So in the 19th century, James Clerk Maxwell, the physicist, who gave us the theory of electromagnetism, he predicted that light carries momentum and can exert pressure on objects. And then in the early 20th century, Albert Einstein, he further solidified our understanding of light's momentum with his work on the photoelectric effect.
Okay, so we have Kepler's observations, Maxwell's theory, and Einstein's insights. All like paving the way for modern optical manipulation. But who actually made the leap from theory to practice? Like, who actually built the first optical tweezers?
That credit goes to Arthur Ashkin at Bell Labs.
Oh, okay.
Back in the 1970s.
Okay.
He demonstrated that a focused laser beam could actually trap and move microscopic particles.
Wow.
And his work revolutionized microscopy.
Really?
Yeah, and he earned him the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2018.
So this tractor beam technology has, like, a really rich history.
It does.
From observing comet tails to Nobel Prize-winning discoveries, it's amazing to see how it all came together.
Yeah.
But what's next for this technology? What other challenges are researchers working on?
Well, one area of focus is improving control over the tractor beam's focal height.
Okay.
So right now they can only move cells in 2 dimensions, but imagine being able to move them up and down as well.
That would be like having complete 3D control.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be a game changer for manipulating cells and, like, building complex biological structures. What else is on the horizon?
Another exciting area is developing multi-trap systems.
Okay.
Currently, the chip can only manipulate one object at a time.
Right.
But imagine having multiple tractor beams working simultaneously.
So instead of, like, one microscopic hand, you'd have a whole set of them.
Right.
Each capable of grabbing and moving individual cells.
Exactly.
The possibilities for manipulating and assembling cells into complex structures would be endless.
They would.
Wow.
And of course, researchers are exploring all sorts of applications for this technology, from creating miniature organs on chips for drug testing to potentially manipulating microorganisms on other planets.
Manipulating microorganisms on other planets. Now, that's what I call thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
This really does sound like a technology straight out of science fiction.
A little bit, yeah.
But it also has the potential to make a real difference here on Earth, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It has the potential to, like, revolutionize fields like diagnostics, drug discovery, regenerative medicine, and even, space exploration.
Wow. It's truly mind-boggling to think about the impact this technology could have.
It is.
But I'm also curious about, like, how this tractor beam fits into the bigger picture of scientific advancements. You mentioned earlier that this chip-based system is part of a larger trend in science.
That's right. This technology is a major step forward in the field of microfluidics, which is all about manipulating tiny amounts of fluids. And scientists are working on, like, miniaturizing entire labs onto tiny chips.
Really?
Yeah, creating what are essentially lab-on-a-chip devices.
So instead of needing, like, big, expensive lab equipment, you could have everything you need to study and manipulate cells right there on a tiny chip.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
It is.
What are some of the advantages of working at such a small scale?
Well, for starters, it would make research much faster and more affordable.
Right.
You wouldn't need huge labs and expensive equipment.
Right.
And that makes, cutting-edge research more accessible to more scientists.
That democratization of science is really important.
It is.
And I bet working at such a small scale, it also uses fewer materials and generates less waste.
It does.
That's good for the environment, too.
Definitely.
So this tractor beam technology, it isn't just about moving cells around. It's part of a larger movement towards miniaturization and automation in science.
Right.
Which has the potential to, like, make research faster, cheaper, more accessible, and more sustainable.
Exactly.
That's a pretty amazing ripple effect.
It really is. And it's exciting to think about how this technology will continue to evolve and what new discoveries it will enable in the years to come.
We've been talking about this tractor beam technology, the one that lets scientists manipulate cells on a tiny chip, and how it's part of this bigger trend, like towards these lab-on-a-chip devices.
Right.
It's incredible to think about the possibilities.
It is.
But can we get specific? Like, what are some of the real-world applications that have scientists so excited about this?
Well, one area where this technology has, like, huge potential is in diagnostics.
Diagnostics, okay.
So imagine being able to analyze a single drop of blood and pinpoint disease markers with, like, incredible speed and accuracy.
So instead of waiting, like, days or weeks for lab results, you could get a diagnosis right there, like at the doctor's office.
Exactly. And because this technology is so precise, it could help doctors detect diseases at their earliest stages.
Which is, like, crucial for effective treatment.
Absolutely.
That's a game changer for so many diseases.
It is.
Early detection can make all the difference.
For sure.
But it's not just about diagnosing diseases, right?
No.
This technology could also help us understand how diseases work at a fundamental level.
Exactly. By manipulating individual cells. Researchers can study their behavior in detail and see how they respond to different drugs.
So it's like having a microscopic laboratory.
It is.
Where you can actually watch the building blocks of life in action.
That's a great way to put it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What about other applications? I know you mentioned drug discovery earlier.
Yes.
How could this technology, like, speed up the process of developing new treatments?
Well, it could revolutionize the way we screen for new drugs.
Okay.
So imagine using these tractor beams to manipulate cells and test the effects of, like, thousands of potential drug candidates.
Thousands.
Yeah, simultaneously.
Wow.
All on a single chip.
So instead of testing each drug individually, you could run, like, hundreds of mini clinical trials at once.
Exactly.
That would save so much time and money.
Absolutely. And it would allow scientists to quickly identify the most promising drug candidates for further development.
Now, this might sound a little out there.
Okay.
But I remember you mentioning something about potential applications in space exploration.
Yes.
How could this technology be used beyond Earth?
Well, think about studying microorganisms.
Yeah.
In extreme environments, perhaps on other planets.
Right.
These tractor beams could help scientists manipulate those microorganisms, collect samples, and even, search for signs of extraterrestrial life.
That's incredible. It was like something straight out of Star Trek.
It is pretty sci-fi.
From revolutionizing healthcare to searching for life on other planets.
Yeah.
The possibilities, they seem endless.
They really do, and this is still a relatively young technology.
Okay.
There are still challenges to overcome.
Right.
But the progress we've seen is truly remarkable, and the future looks incredibly bright.
It's inspiring to think about the potential of this technology and how it could change the world.
Yeah.
It's been a fascinating deep dive into the world of real life tractor beams.
It has.
From the early observations of, like, comet tails.
Right.
To the development of sophisticated optical tweezers.
Right. Yeah.
And this groundbreaking chip-based system.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see how science fiction is, like, slowly becoming science reality.
I agree. It's a testament to human ingenuity.
Yeah.
And our endless curiosity about the world around us.
And who knows what other incredible discoveries await us in the future.
Who knows? That's the exciting part.
That's a great point to end on.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
And I hope our listeners are as excited as we are about the future of this technology.
I'm sure they are. It's a fascinating field with the potential to make a real difference in the world.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop learning.